Okay.
Hello, good evening, everybody. Please, it's now 6 o'clock. Please, can I welcome everyone to this meeting of the North Whiteley Development Forum on Monday, 11th of December 2023. Time 6 o'clock. My name is Councillor Vivian Atchwell. I'm Chairman of the committee. Some housekeeping points before we start. This meeting is being recorded, live streamed, and will be available on the Council's YouTube channel. Can everyone please ensure their mobiles are on silent? And please can I ask everyone present that your microphones remain muted and your cameras are turned off whilst you're not addressing the meeting, as this will reduce background noise and avoid any unintentional disturbances. So please, would you mind just all switching off your cameras, Eric, Linda and Danny?
Okay.
Thank you. Members, please use the raise a hand button to indicate that you wish to speak. We have a number of officers with us this evening from Hampshire County Council and Winchester City Council, and I ask them to introduce themselves as they speak. We are also being joined by Jeff Davies of Tetra Tech on behalf of Developer Consortium and Carleen Reid from the Adult Learning Manager at Fareham College. So turning now to the agenda. Matthew, can we have apologies, please?
Thank you, Chair. Good evening, members. So we've had apologies from Councillor Burton, Councillor Martin, and Councillor Woodward. Unfortunately, this meeting clashed with a Fareham Borough Council meeting, and we've also had apologies from Councillor Wallace, who's being replaced by Councillor Lee this evening. That's it for apologies, Chair. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And I also have a note here that Councillor Lumbie has asked, because of his voice issues, he will need to raise questions through the chat function. And we've just been joined by Councillor Todd. So members, are there any disclosures of interest, please? No, that seems fine. Item number 3, Chairman's announcements. I don't have any this evening. Other than, I'm going to just swap the agenda around if you don't mind. I'm going to move the agenda item number 7. Put that at the end. That's the handover. That'll be Julie. That's at the end now, please, if you don't mind. And now moving on to item number 4. That's participation from members of the public who have registered to speak. We normally allow 10 minutes for members of the public to speak, so I'll just keep an eye on the clock. So Linda Parks, if you'd like to put on your camera and ask your question, please.
Hello. I'm very new to Hampshire. I'm very new to Whiteley. So I can't tell you which roads I'm talking about, but I do live very close to the Taylor Wimpey office as you come into Whiteley Way, and it's been lovely. I've got a field opposite me with horses and ducks flying around, beautiful. And I fully expected the situation to change, obviously, because of the number of houses that are being built further along that road and into the developments there. However, I'm led to believe that a road has opened that is now a shortcut through Whiteley. And I'm getting more than 100 cars an hour, no trucks, no vans. This is, you can tell I'm not employed, can't you? It is just cars that I've counted, more than 100 an hour coming past my house from shortly after 5 o'clock in the morning until 8, 9 o'clock at night. The noise is ridiculous and the speed that they're travelling at is nonsense. I don't know who arranged the 20-mile-an-hour signs that went up from the Tesco roundabout to me, but they're not being adhered to, and I don't think there's any legal reason for them to be, because the road isn't adopted yet, is it? But you know, are there any traffic calming measures going to be put into place? Because I don't, you know, if they could have speed humps, I hate the flipping things, they're dreadful. But if they could have speed humps as they get to the Taylor Wimpey office or something, but somebody's going to get killed on that road because there's just far too many cars and they're going far too fast.
Okay, thank you, Linda, for your question. I think what I intend to do is we listen to all the questions at the moment.
Yeah.
And hopefully the officers will be able to answer.
Okay. Yeah.
Possibly their report or get back to us.
Okay.
A bit later on. So next we have Danny Patrick. Danny, are you there?
Yeah, I don't think I've seen Mr. Patrick join the meeting. He did say he might not be able to join us.
Okay.
He has provided us with his question in advance, so perhaps we can follow that up with a written response to him.
Okay, absolutely. Simon Shepherd. Has he joined us yet?
No, I don't think Mr. Shepherd's joined us either.
Okay.
And again, he did give us an indication of his question in advance.
Okay, all right. So the next one we have is Simon Balding. Simon, are you with us?
Hi there.
Hello, hi Simon.
Sharing with Mandy Balding, my wife. We're using the same computer.
Okay.
So my question is also related. Well, actually, mine's a question about buses. Actually, so buses. The bus services in the area seem to be primarily slanted towards getting people to and from the Whiteley shopping centre. I've got a child at Brookfield and a child at Peter Simmons who needs to get a train from Botley each day. The bus services in this area, there are hardly any buses that go to the Brookfield school direction and hardly any buses that go to Botley station direction. And the very few buses there are don't tie in with school times and college times. So the result of that is that we are making many journeys a week in the car, adding to congestion and polluting the environment, when we would much rather our children and us for other journeys as well be able to use a local bus service to do commuter journeys to school, to work, and for other trips as well. And they're just, at the moment, there doesn't seem to be any viable bus service available. So the question is, what are the plans for developing a bus service for the residents that actually is of use for school and college times and commuting, etc.
Okay. All right, thanks, Simon. I'm sure that's going to get covered in Billy's report. Okay, thank you very much for that. Thank you. Now we have your wife, Mandy.
Hi, good evening, everyone.
Hi.
So it was really touching on the previous comments, road safety, particularly for pedestrians and drivers. So the piece of road going from Glassfield Road onto Whiteley Way, the junction there is incredibly dangerous. We've got issues with the approach from Glassfield Road onto Whiteley Way. So sometimes you're approaching Whiteley Way on the wrong side of the road due to parked cars. And then you've also got cars parking on Whiteley Way on the junction. So you're having to come onto Whiteley Way without having full visibility, and you're maybe a third of the way onto that road, with issues as cars approaching at maybe 40, sometimes 50 miles per hour. And there's a bend on that road as well. So it really is, you just have to like nudge out as slowly as possible on certain days. And you really haven't got great visibility. So it's incredibly dangerous. And I think, similar to the last comments, it is an accident waiting to happen. Also on that junction, there are crossings. So the crossings are being parked on or across, either on the pavement or off the pavement. Meaning if any children in particular are having to cross that road at a crossing, they are having to cross in another area between parked cars. So it's just, that whole area is incredibly unsafe, and I'm sure there's other areas in the development. There have been some real positive measures with the double yellow lines further from the Tesco's coming down to the sales room. I think from the sales room up to Glassfield Road, some of the parking issues have been sorted out, with people parking on the pavements to now being on the roadside, so that's a positive. But yeah, they're my main concerns. And then you've also got the play park there, if that's not going to have a fence around it, and you've got people driving up that road at 40, 50, sometimes probably higher, that's just, yeah, another issue.
Okay.
So yeah, my question, so the question to that really is, what kind of measures are due to be put in place to make it safer? And similar with the 20-mile-per-hour speed limit signs are not working. Further up in the development on some of the Whiteley Way, they put some speed humps in, but they really are not very good speed humps. They're quite low.
Okay, right, thank you very much.
Yeah.
I think some of this is going to get covered by Jeff later on, and possibly Hilary as well. So
Okay.
thanks for your question.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, sorry to intercede, but
Yeah.
Councillor Lumby's just asked if we could read into the meeting the questions from Mr. Patrick and Mr. Shepherd, just so.
Happy to. Okay, sure. Would you mind?
Do you want to do David first?
Yeah, we just, yeah, that's a good point, Councillor Lumby. There's just one more. Got Parish Councillor David Leslie, who'd just like to ask a question as well, please.
Okay, can you hear me all right?
Yeah, that's fine. Thank you, David.
Okay, good. Quickly, because my question is crossing with Simon's. I didn't realise Simon was also going to ask about the buses. But essentially in the planning, I read about a W1 and W2 bus, which I think relates to 28A and 20. And my question is, when are those planned to be increased in terms of number of buses to half hourly, and also visiting Botley Station? And I saw mention of Hedge End in the initial planning. So the question is about the future of the buses.
Okay, thank you. Thanks, David. I think that's going to get covered. Yeah, Hilary, if you wouldn't mind just reading out those two questions, please.
Good evening, members. Hilary Oliver, I'm the North Whiteley Implementation Manager, and I'll read out the two questions from the public that couldn't make it. So the first one from Danny Patrick. My questions are: 1, what is the plan for the area of gravel parking next to the Cornerstone Primary School? Because if it's to stay as a car park, obviously it needs tarmacking, and the whole area developed as half the fencing has blown down, and it just looks a mess. And it's been like this for 2 years now. I've heard rumours there's plans to turn it into a community hub area with 2 or 3 local shops and possibly a GP surgery, with parking that can be used by the parents at drop off and pick up times for the school runs, which sounded like a great idea to me, as having a local shop, post office, etc. would be a great idea. And like I said, the parking for that could double up for the school runs. The bus stops all along Bluebell Way, there isn't one single one that has a shelter and seat like normal bus stops. I don't think they'd all need this, but the one next to the school, again for parents who may do school runs by bus, etc. And over the road, have the space for shelters and also have pull-in areas for the buses. So it just makes sense. That's my opinion anyway. So that's his 2 questions. The question for Simon Shepherd. My question is around infrastructure or lack of. I'd like to know the plans and timeline for adding extra doctors and dentists. Also, when are the local amenities being built that were promised many moons ago?
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thanks very much for members of the public for asking those questions. I think they are going to get covered later on this evening. So if you'd like to stay on, you'd hear most of those answers. Thank you. So members, we're now on to agenda item number 5, minutes of the previous meeting held on the 17th of July. Are there any questions from members regarding those minutes, or are we all agreed? Silence. Members, are we agreed?
All agreed.
Agreed.
Agreed. Agreed.
Okay, thank you.
Agreed.
Thank you. We're now being joined by Arlene Reid from the Zoe Clark Academy, who's going to give us an update of the new adult learning centre that's just opened in North Whiteley. Welcome, Carleen.
Hello, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, that's great.
Excellent. Hello everyone. My name's Carleen. I'm Carleen Reid. I'm the Adult Learning Manager at Fareham College. Fareham College is part of the newly merged South Hampshire College Group. So I'm just going to give you a bit of an overview on the Zoe Clark Skills Academy. So Vistry has worked in partnership with us at Fareham College this year to open the Zoe Clark Skills Academy. The aim of this academy is to give those aged 19 and above in long-term unemployment the opportunity to learn valuable industry skills, to have support with interviews and access to local opportunities with local employers. The academy will also be a key part of the developing community in Whiteley Meadows with programmes and training to support adults in many aspects such as money management and other areas. The project has been led by Vistry Southern House Building and Countryside Partnership, which is part of the Vistry Group and is one of a number of skills academies that they have in the UK. Our sector work-based courses that we run with the Department for Work and Pensions is a 3-week course that teaches health and safety.
I'm sorry to interrupt, Carleen, but your voice is too close to your microphone and it's causing the microphone to crackle. So I don't know about others, but I'm finding it very difficult to understand what you're saying.
I'll try and adjust it. Hang on, let me move it out a bit. How about that? Is that any better?
Yeah, that's better. Thank you.
Better, yeah?
Yes, that's better. That's much
Apologies.
better. Thank you.
Sorry.
Okay.
I'm just going to find where I was now. Apologies. So our sector work-based courses that we run with the Department for Work and Pensions are a 3-week course where we teach health and safety, hand skills, behaviours and expectations on site, along with CSCS card and interviews with many of our CTEC employers for site work and apprenticeships. In the past 12 months, we have trained 70 unemployed adults through CTEC, with 70% of those being offered local employment, some with several offers with different employers. And we're very much looking forward to being able to offer more opportunities with the opening of this academy with the Vistry Group. It's more than just about helping individuals find jobs as well. It's about being part of the local community and also helping to nurture the future of the construction industry and the leaders of the construction for the future. Don't know if anybody has any further questions about the academy or any of the other provisions that we might be running.
Anyone got any questions at all? Really exciting project we've got going there.
It is indeed,
Yeah.
and I know anyone that was obviously at the opening launch of it as well. We're able to see some of the impact that these courses and this types of provision can have within the community.
So we
Very
just had Councillor Lumby ask a question: where exactly is it located?
I would just, to my knowledge, I would have to say Parcel 5, because that would be my only knowledge within the development itself. I don't know if Hilary would be able to provide a bit of a more specific answer to that.
Hilary.
Yeah, so it's in the northern area. If you come off the first junction that's known as the Northern Access Junction and carry on along straight until you get to the second mini roundabout, you'll see the Portakabins off to your left there. It's actually located on where the northern local centre is going to be based. So it's there temporarily until that development gets going.
Is it actually signposted from the traffic lights?
No, I don't think it. I think there is one.
I don't know if there is from the traffic lights. There are further up. I know there are further up within the development, yes, but I don't know if there are any at the traffic lights just yet.
And
I think there might be something on the hoardings outside.
Okay,
Not sure.
I have to check. Councillor Lumby had another question. How long is this expected to last?
So the planned partnership will be lasting until 2026 at the moment.
Okay, all right, thank you. Councillor Atchwell, you have the question.
Thank you, Chair. Question for Carleen is how many students you got currently on the course?
On this type of provision, so the sector work base in particular, the one that we run in construction, we've had 70 adults that have gone through that, but we have hundreds of adult education students on a number of provisions. And so like I said, our main construction adult provision, we've had 70 through the last year, but the plan really for this partnership is to also deliver some more kind of community based programs and training that could be out of there as well, so that more people can benefit going into different industries or with different things.
So how is the classroom training versus on-hands training is split? 50-50 or what's the kind of percentage?
Definitely more hands-on. So it's definitely, I'd say 80-90% is your hands-on and 10% theory and kind of classroom, where a lot of that coverage is your health and safety. So but the most part of any of our provision in any of these trades where we're doing the retraining or reskills of people is it's predominantly hands-on.
Thank you.
It's okay.
Thank you. Had Councillor Lee had another question.
Yes, thank you. I just wanted to understand, presumably this new initiative is firmly plugged into the job centre. They're fully aware and citizens' advice and so on.
It is, yes, it is. The Department of Work and Pensions we work really closely with for our sector work-based academies and other pre-employment provision, actually.
Brilliant. Okay, that's it. Thank you very much.
Thanks. Okay.
Councillor Lomby, sorry, just
The students have to pay.
do students have to pay to attend?
So if an adult is over the age of 19 and they are unemployed and in receipt of universal credit, then the course is fully funded. So there are no fees. It is free.
Okay. Okay, I think is that all right, Councillor Lomby? Yeah. So he's not able to actually speak. Okay, that's great. Is that all right, Councillor Lomby? Do a thumbs up, maybe. Yeah. Great. Okay, thank you very much for the update. And we look forward to another update in the future.
Yes, excellent. Thank you.
All the best. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye. We're now going to go on to item number 8. And that's update re Whiteley bypass. A verbal update from Daniel Davies from Hampshire Highways.
Should be probably Ray.
No, it's Daniel Davies. It's Stephanie Jackson. Ray's not here. Not meant to be.
Yes, I am here.
They keep changing
Chairman.
ones.
Sorry.
Okay.
There's
Hi,
been
Ray.
a last minute change, and I've been allocated the responsibility of joining the meeting this evening. If you can give me just a second.
Sure.
I just need to get some information up on my other screen, so apologies for this.
No problems. Take time.
But the update is very simply that all the information is on the County Council's website. I'm specifically conscious, Madam Chairman, that you asked a question about the timing of the construction of the roundabout at the top end of Botley Road.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I've spoken to my colleagues, and the only thing they can tell me is that the timing of the next phase, which is probably the biggest one of the lot and does involve a bridge over the River Hamble, is on the web page. And I think, and they cannot at this time give me or the forum a specific date, because that is currently being discussed between them and their contractor. But what I can do, Madam Chairman, is send to Matthew some words that we've got on our website along with the link to it, so that anybody who gets the notes of this meeting can look it up for themselves. I'm sorry I cannot give any more information than that.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. Thank you. Did it, Councillor Pretty, you had a question?
Just coming. Yes, thank you, Chair. Yeah, I have one question. I represent Eastleigh Borough Council on this forum. I'm also a member of Hedge End Town Council. We've seen upheaval with the first phase of the bypass, and I'm concerned that the Western Gateway, as it's called by Snowdrop Place, care home, has been completely omitted because of failure to acquire the land in order to do the work. Could I formally ask you to get a reply with that date on when that is going to go ahead? Because I've heard so many stories whether it's going to be with phase 2 or whether it's going to be separate. My residents in Hedgend and Eastleigh are concerned that the county did a lot of work, and then for 150 yards we are back to the old B road, and it just doesn't seem quite right. If you could look into that and come back to me.
Councillor Pretty, yes. Can you just confirm the name of the property you mentioned? I think it was Snowdrop, but I didn't quite catch everything.
Snowdrop Place, which is a care home.
Thank you very much. I will do what you've asked. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, thanks, Derek. We had another question from Councillor Bodger. You're muted, Eric.
I was interested in what was happening at the Pinkmead end of the bypass. Even opening the roundabout before the bypass is complete would stop those enormous queues on the 3051 heading north every afternoon and evening.
Do you have any indication, Ray?
Sorry, I cannot say anything specifically about that because I don't know the construction programme, or indeed from what end they will carry on the works. If they were to construct from the eastern end the roundabout you speak of, Councillor Bodger, then yes, I'm pretty certain that what you've suggested will be the outcome. But clearly that's going to be some time away because it does take several months to build a roundabout. But I take the point. I'm more than happy to pass that on to my colleagues so that they can give me an answer to your question. But until they've finished their discussions with the contractor, I think I cannot at this point certainly tell you where they're going to be starting from. But I'm more than happy to try and find out for you.
That's very helpful, thank you. My understanding is that the Jenkins estate has made the land over to Hampshire County Council in return for the planning permission at Shearcroft, and as a result, that shouldn't be an issue for constructing the bypass. I speak as one with a personal interest because Wangfield Lane is being used as a de facto Botley bypass, and it's impossible to walk on the lane anymore.
I understand. Thank you.
Thanks, Eric. Ray, I know this is not quite related to Botley bypass, but just wanted to thank Hampshire County Council for putting double yellow lines in along Whiteley Way between yourselves and the consortium.
I thank you for the congratulations. However, I cannot share that. That was down to the consortium.
Okay, but you were part of the arrangement.
Well, I was just a little, yes, but it's not really down to me. It was down to them. They agreed to do it at the request of the members, as you know.
So I don't know if this question is for you or Jeff then. Although the lines are there, there's still lots of cones left on the side. Who's responsible for taking the cones away?
That would be the consortium.
Okay, all right. Okay, has anyone got any other further questions for Ray? Okay, right. Thank you very much, Ray. So I'm going to hand over now to Jeff Davies from Tetra Tech to give us an update, please.
Thank you, Chair. Good evening, members.
Hi, Jeff.
So we start off with my presentation. Thank you. If you could move to the next slide, please, Matthew. Brief update of where we are. This is the overview slide I usually put up at the start. Main change to that is the works down at the M27 milestone works are all complete as far as I can tell, but bar any kind of minor snags and so on. Next slide, please. Just a brief update on Bluebell Way. As you know, it opened a couple of years ago, almost now, and the bus service started at the beginning of this year. The Southern Local Centre, this addresses one of the questions that was raised about the area that we're using as a car park for drop off for the school and contractors parking at the moment. Broadly speaking, we've gone out to the market for that. It's planned to house a new local centre, which will have a shop on it and a nursery. We have a sort of preferred bidder for that, and we're going through a contractual process now and getting them on board. And in the background, they are, I understand, putting proposals to the planning authority for consideration. And we're hoping that during the course of this sort of early next year, that will sort of start to come to fruition, and the planning application will be submitted, and it will flow on through to deliver a new facility in that area. There's a similar situation in the north of the site, but that's sort of on a slightly different program. It's a little behind ours, but it's also sort of coming forward slowly in the background. The question about the tidiness of the area, we recognise that. We've placed some orders to go out and fix that fencing, tidy it up, but it will remain as a sort of a stoned car parking area for a little time to come. I suspect probably most of next year, I think, the time planning goes through and so on. Just a quick touching upon the public areas, the allotment 1 and play area 2. We've, as most people know, we've finished those, but they're not handed over, and we've been going through the process of trying to legally transfer them over to Whiteley Town Council. I do have some good news. We were trying to see if we could open up play area 2, and there was some resistance from the landowner for a particular area, but they've agreed that we can open that up now. So I'm just about to start off the process. We can't just open it up straight away, I'm afraid. We have to go out and do some inspections, etc., to allow that to sort of to be set up. So hopefully sort of early in the new year, we'll be able to take away the fencing and allow that to be used. Next slide, please, Matthew. Just some slides from our sort of our drone footage that we issue every month. That's looking down at the Southern Local Centre, was just on the left, the last slide. Sorry, Matthew, just dash back a bit. So that's that local centre where you can see the parking just on the left side. So that's what I was talking about. Next slide, please, Matthew. That's looking at the central of Bluebell Way with Cornerstone School on the left. Next slide, please. Now, update on the strategic cycleway, the footpath that runs beside the school. This, as you know, has been a thorn in everybody's side for a while, and I'm afraid it still is a bit of a thorn. The main issues, we still don't have the Section 278 legal agreement, and until that's signed, we're not actually allowed to do any work at all on an existing public right of way. So we're almost there. I think the last update, but some further technical issues came up to do with equestrian visibility. It's a footpath now. It's been converted to a bridleway, so there have been some issues, and we're just trying to sort of finally resolve those, so that we can get this legal agreement over the line. We've basically got everything else lined up to do the work, but frankly, I can't see that we'll be able to start this until the spring of next year now. In parallel, we're still designing the second phase of this footpath. The main problem with that is there's a bridge there's an old bridge about halfway along that path, which is in the middle of sort of dense woods. That bridge is it has a few structural problems, and it's quite possible that we may have to replace it altogether. So that's been sort of holding us up while we try to resolve that. It's in quite a difficult area from the point of environment and ecological issues. So we'll just have to keep you posted on that for the time being. Next slide, please, Matthew. A quick look at the off-site Whiteley Way works. The issues that were holding us up, principally to do with utilities, have been resolved, and we expect that the main works will be able to start in March. I am now sort of talking again to Ray's colleagues in Hampshire Highways and to Whiteley Retail Centre, discussing the traffic management plans that we had broadly agreed up to last summer, but then we had to sort of basically park for a while we resolved our utility issue. So if we can make that start in March, that's likely to go on until after summer in 2025, probably the autumn. But we'll have a specific program when I can sort of finally pin down the exact start date. Next slide, please, Matthew. As a brief look at what we call phase 3. So these are the roads that run from the northern access junction down through Curbridge Way and Whiteley Way, and down through Whiteley Way through the Taylor Wimpey development at the bottom, Woodlands Chase, and on out to Whiteley Retail. So this was the items that there were a couple of concerns raised earlier this evening, questions from the floor. Yes, that road opened to through traffic. Both the roads you can see on the screen, the ones in blue, opened in September, middle of September, and that was a requirement on us from the funding that we had from the Solent LEP to open those roads. Now that obviously causes an issue. The road is designed, I suppose, to take any traffic that's sort of coming through from the north to the south is designed to come that way. They'll tend to turn off that way and come down that road. It is somewhat concerning of the issues raised regarding speed. We will have to go away and we may have to sort of put down some survey or to see what's going on down there. Certainly shouldn't be anybody driving at sort of 40-50 miles an hour. It's a 30-mile-an-hour road, of course, under street lights. We've signed it as 20 miles an hour all the way through, and that's, we recognise that this is also a major construction route. So there are most of our construction deliveries will be coming in from the south to the north these days, because the M27 is the nearest access point. So I'll take that away. The road itself, as it stands now, is broadly in its finished condition. The only thing I was just checking earlier on, we've obviously got lots of development still to do, frontage development that comes onto the sides of the road. So in the north we have roads going through the middle of fields, and there's not much built around them, and that will change over time, and it'll all become infilled with buildings quite close to the road, which will tend to sort of have a slowing down effect. But in the meantime, it is a road in a field largely. We're missing a couple of the speed humps that are designed to go in Sawpit Copse, which is to the south, just above roundabout 3. They are missing, and they were left out originally during our sort of peak construction period. But we're going to put those in the new year. Our main issue with that is how to do that and keep the roads flowing, because to put them in, I don't think we can really do it in a sort of half and half sort of way. Probably have to close the road to do that. So we need to sort of work out exactly how we direct traffic, etc., and when to do that. But orders have been placed to get those put in the first couple of months of next year. So that should help to control traffic south of the site. But traffic coming from the north are already driving over the various, we call them speed tables rather than humps, but all of those are actually in. So that it is quite concerning. The other issue raised, I think, was in relation to parking, or frankly, errant parking. I'm pleased to hear that the actions that Taylor Wimpey have taken by writing to residents about parking are having some effect, but clearly not 100%. So there are issues there. Basically, nobody should be parking on crossings or at the corners where there are sort of the visibility issues that were mentioned. They should all be clear. Nobody should be parking on a pavement at all. So I think we'll just have to monitor and then see what else may need to be done. But it's difficult because the roads are built in their finished condition, and as you may have seen in other parts of the site where we put in red and white bollards up near Cornerstone School and so on, that is a temporary solution, but it's probably end up being there for ages. It's unsightly. It's not particularly satisfactory, but we've debated the WL line issue at some length within this forum and outside of this forum, and with Hampshire's agreement, we've put in the WL lines that were installed down through Sawpit Copse recently, and we're hoping they're having suitable effect down there. But again, the roads are still private. They won't be adopted for some years, frankly, before certainly all the roads are adopted. We may be able to sort of start getting sections of them adopted earlier, but it's still a couple of years away before roads start to be adopted, simply because of the sheer amount of construction that still has to be delivered out there. While we have very heavy traffic coming in, it delays the adoption naturally. Next slide, please, Matthew. Some shots of the roads we've just been talking about. That's what we call Whiteley Way East in the centre of the picture there. Next slide, please, Matthew. And that's looking at Curbridge Way, looking towards the south. And as is the road I mentioned, that's sort of running largely through green fields at the moment. And I suspect that people take advantage of the fact that it's pretty clear and open and so on, and pick up speed where they shouldn't really. Next slide, please, Matthew. Again, that's another slide looking at the same road where it runs up into the... Next slide, please. A quick update on the situation with the housing. Detailed planning permission granted for 87% of the total of the housing on the development now. And we started almost 2,000 houses, finished 1,345, and at the last count occupied 1,326 houses now. So it's approaching a third of the way through, if you like. Next slide, please, Matthew. A quick update on open space. We've just let the contract to undertake most of the landscaping works planned for this winter. So that's getting underway. We've had a few issues in getting started. We've completed the Leap 2, Leap 3, Leap 1. You'll be able to see that's Whiteley Gardens. You can see the play equipment is installed, and the landscaping will now start to go into there. We've got some further what we call hard landscaping to do, and I think one of the questions was raised about Whiteley Gardens about security. So the design includes for a fence going around the outside of Whiteley Gardens, 1.5 metre high fence with sort of gated access where the paths come in, and sort of staggered access where there's a public right of way that runs through on the diagonal. That's got a sort of staggered access. So the area will be fenced, so that will prevent kids from running out onto the road from the play area. So there are a couple of slight issues. I'm forever caught with trying to get legal agreements in place, and we have a legal agreement that runs on that footpath that runs through the centre of the play area. So in order to surface it, we need a section 278 agreement. It's very similar to the path beside the school. I'm just hoping it won't take nearly as long as that one is taking. So it's underway, but it's just a very slow process. So anybody anywhere who can help to pull out stops on legal processes are very welcome. Next slide, please, Matthew. So I think that's probably saying much what I said already, really. I think I should have taken that one out. It's just a picture of Whiteley Gardens, looking at it from the recent drone shots. So the bus service. The current bus service in its current form runs to the end of March, and we've just tendered phase 2 bus service, and we're looking at the sort of results of that at the moment. Phase 2 is broadly it's a bit of an extension to phase 1. It's not dramatic, but it's a bit of an extension to phase 1. We do have a bit of an issue in that the usage of the bus, the patronage on the buses so far has been quite low, and we've been examining that. We've undertaken surveys. We've had people on the buses doing questionnaires. We've got the passenger figures sort of fed back to us from first buses, and there's some detail this, but you know we're only getting something like sort of 6 or 7 people using the bus into Fareham on one peak service, and quite a few people going to Botley Station. And overall, during the peak period, we've got an average of about three passengers per journey. So we've got a lot of empty buses going around at the moment. So that raises a sort of viability issue in the sort of longer term. So at the moment, we're trying to play tunes with the bus services and putting different sort of timetables and proposals forward to see what the numbers come back with. And we'll have to update everybody further next year, the next forum, I think, just to keep everybody informed of what's going on. There was a question raised about shelters. So basically, the design is for shelters to be installed at all of the bus stops in the fullness of time. So again, it's also a little bit linked to the viability issue, but they are due to go in. There will be shelters in due course. The presentation has disappeared off the screen. I'm hoping I got to the end of it. I can't remember now. There's another slide after that.
No, that was the last one, Jeff.
Oh, it's okay. Thank you.
Do you want me to run the drone footage?
Well, yeah, flick through it. That's always it's good to see, I think.
Yeah. It's shared into the meeting, but we just can't see it on our screen.
It's there, Matthew. We'll just start up at the north of the site and come down Whiteley Way, the Northern Access Junction, through the Vistry North areas, and then round to the east and down, looking at Curbridge Way now, flying down that way along Curbridge Way into the open areas I just mentioned before. And then it flicks back and sort of focuses on sort of area by area. We're now looking at what we call Whiteley Way East, which again is mostly up in the Vistry North area. Really heavy amount of construction going on down there. That road is also open to traffic. Flying south down, looking at the future secondary school is just on the left picture. And again, Whiteley Way and now down towards Woodlands Chase, the Taylor Wimpey area, just underneath at the moment. and then the drone goes back and it picks up on various development areas that focuses in on them, as you see in the key plan on the top left. Whiteley Way East. Bridge Way. Just the secondary schools at the top left, future secondary school area. And that's now changed over to Bluebell Way, the Western Access Junction. It's more developed down there, now looking at the Foreman Homes development centre of the site. Local centre is just in the middle of the picture. Car parking is. That is the Persimmon development just off Bluebell Way. Looking over at Whiteley Gardens at the moment. The Taylor Wimpey developments, which are largely occupied now. Whiteley Retail is just down in the distance there. And again, it goes back and focuses in on the parcels. It's Bluebell Way underneath Foreman Homes.
Thank you very much, Jeff. I'm sure we have
You're
a few
welcome.
questions lined up. Who have we got first? Let me just see. Mike Evans.
Thank you, thank you, Chair. Jeff, couple of points about Woodlands Chase. I'm delighted, as Chair has said, that we were able at a meeting in the council offices in September to agree with Hampshire to get the yellow lines down. However, I have to say, speeding is still taking place. I was down there the other day twice. I got overtaken twice by somebody in a car. The lorries are still speeding, and I do think it's a bit of it is a safety issue. And I'd be interested in what Ray Alborough has to say about this. It is a private road. Can I say, if the speeding continues, are the consortium going to enforce, bring in a company to fine people, or are we going to let it continue? But unless we do something, nothing's going to happen. I mean, there is confusion in the signs. As you come off from R3 roundabout by the petrol station, it says 30. You get further along and it says 20. So I feel that needs to be looked at, and you know, obviously we can pick that up at our meetings later on. The other one about Cornerstone School, I agree with you. I think the parking on the pavements resulted in us putting those barriers down there, and I wonder if we can obviously consider meeting again in the new year to see what we can do, possibly putting yellow lines down there, because obviously it does look unsightly, and at the moment nobody is parking on the pavement, which is a great help, but it doesn't look particularly pretty, as you said. And the third one about the bus services, I mean, the town council's been banging on for some time about where the buses need to go. And I don't know if this is going to be in phase 2. We've mentioned the hospital. We've also mentioned that it doesn't correspond with school times. And I don't know where we stand on that. And maybe it's something we need to talk with yourselves and Hampshire County Council about. But surely, if we're going to do phase 2, the buses must obviously go to Botley already, but the times, if they correspond with the school times, you're going to get more people on it. So I wonder if it's something we can look at in due course. I mean, I'm not expecting an answer tonight, just to flag it up. It's something that we need to look at. Thank you, Chair.
Well, thank you, Mike. Certainly take all those questions away, and we'll sit down in the new year to talk them over. Yeah, I mean, we are concerned about speeding. It's, we can control, or we should be able to control anything that's linked to activity on the site. All the lorries delivering to the site, etc. We can't control through traffic, sadly, in terms of telling them what they can do, or if we catch someone and getting rid of them off the site, we can't do that, of course. But we were sure I've issued instructions to cover up that 30-mile-an-hour sign, but I'll check on that. But I do feel that if people were adhering to 30, it would be better than the reports of 40 or 50, or people overtaking you if you're doing reasonable speed down the road. That is quite concerning. I will take it to the consortium and see what we can do about the speeding issue. Other than putting in further sort of sleeping policeman type humps or something like that. The area is signed. It's signed as a construction site. It's signed with the 20-mile-an-hour signs. It's got nearly all of the sort of speed tables in, bar the two I mentioned before. So that should be constraining speeds, but clearly there are issues. The bus services, yes, I'll let you. I'll do a better report to exactly what the services proposed are. At the moment, we are we've just received various prices for the bus support, the revenue support against a number of different sort of scenarios. So we've only just received that, but we need to to kick off the phase 2 bus service. We need to make a decision not long into the new year about the next phase because of the sort of lead-in periods for it. So maybe we'll have a conversation early in the new year about it.
Thanks, Jeff.
Okay, thank you, Jeff. Thanks for your question, Mike.
Thanks, Chair.
Councillor Pearson.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, I've got a couple of questions. I'll ask the short one and answer one first, because I think the answers are either yes or no. I think you said, Jeff, you referred to the second school. Has the construction already started at the secondary school?
No, it's probably more for Hampshire to update you about the construction of the school. I can tell you what I understand, and that is that the construction is due to start in spring 25.
Right. Okay.
The school will be finished in the open in September 27.
Yeah.
That's my understanding.
That was a long no, but okay, I got the message. Thanks, Jeff. Now, the other one is a similar sort of theme that a number of people raised, and this is about traffic management on an unadopted road. I mean, so far you've got 30-mile-an-hour limits according to the lights, which you've reduced to 20-mile-an-hour limits, and now unless there's a local TRO in that has no effect. We've got double yellow lines, again, unless the TROs in that effect have no effect, because again, it's an unadopted road. What concerns me, and I understand your difficulty, and this is really coming down to the consortium, because the police can't take any action because it's a private road. And so it's really what Councillor Evans has been asking. Are you in a position legally where you can police what happens, speeding or whatever on that road? Or are you able to put, for example, a series of temporary traffic humps along that road to basically make traffic slow down? I'm saying temporary ones because I'm aware there are sort of rubberized speed humps that could be put down. But it leaves everyone in a quandary because drivers are not, I won't say, I'm tempted to say not stupid, or quite clearly their behaviour is stupid, and on a public highway, illegal. But it's not a public highway, so it comes back down to the consortium. So seriously, Jeff, we've got a dangerous situation here. It's a road quite clearly that people see is open, but they are clearly, again, flouting in advance sensible driving procedures. Now, where are we going with this? If let's say there's an accident, an insurance company claim comes in, where's that going to put the consortium?
Well, it's a private road, and the landowners, you know, they basically carry the insurance for all activities on the land and construction and otherwise. So there is a liability there. So equally with a private road, there are steps that could be taken, but I have to consult with the landowners, the consortium partners, about what steps they will want to take. And there's always a trade-off between, you know, they're building an area for people to move into and so on, put up too many signs and too many things in the way, that starts to annoy people for other reasons, you know. So, but we do have to try and deal with the issues at hand, particularly health and safety. It's a tricky one. The situation on TROs is basically they can't really be put in place until after the point of adoption. It's not even at adoption. It's kind of after it, but there's a process to run through, and that can take quite considerable time to get a TRO in place. So you know, ultimately we could close the road to everybody, but that wouldn't really win many friends either. So it's quite a tricky situation. We were on a bound to open the roads to traffic, and we've done so. So it's quite what do you do about driver behaviour? It's quite a tricky one. We can put up more signs, etc. We could go out and you know, effectively stand around in yellow coats with radar guns, but we don't have, you know, we can write to residents. We can write to residents, you know, and frankly, if there was an accident that happened, the police would get involved in that state, and if the accident was linked to, for instance, cars parking where they shouldn't, there is a potential for that to be taken into effect, and that car being somewhere where it shouldn't be, being involved in that, so that, you know, that investigation, potential liability for, you know, because cars should not be on pavements or blocking crossings, etc. No matter whether it's private or public, you know.
On the other hand, yeah, Jeff, there is no law in this country about park on a pavement, unfortunately. In Scotland, I understand there is. But I mean, what you're describing is something which is like the Wild West. That everyone is saying, well, it's not me, boss, it's somebody else. It leaves the town council in a bit of a mess, because I guess at the end of the day, they're going to be held responsible, but they're not. Insurance companies, you say, well, they will be after the landowner. I presume most of them are the developers. Well, quite clearly the developers don't care, otherwise they've been taking action by now. I mean, are we going to put signs up saying it's a Wild West along this road?
Well, I think we have been taking action, Councillor Pearson, but sometimes it takes time to sort of come to fruition. But we have responded to the parking issues, the speeding issues, and there's some more. But the thing is, we're always going to be chasing issues. Our big issue on parking is started off at Cornerstone School, huge issue. Yeah. Solved that. It went down to Whiteley Way and Sawpit Copse. We're hoping we've solved that for the time being, and it's emerging somewhere else. And if we try and solve that, it'll probably then move to another spot. That's, you know, our main obligation is to build the roads to the design that's been approved, and that's broadly what we've done, with the exception we're missing a couple of speed tables at Sawpit Copse, as I mentioned earlier on. So we're going to get those in. But that's our first responsibility. It's quite difficult for us. We're not the police either, so we can go and see what other other issues, what other measures we can put in. But we're not running a police service. That's not our.
No, I appreciate that.
We're not trying to avoid any responsibility either, but we would try and respond to.
Well, I suggest that someone approaches the landowners, i.e. the developers, and ask them what their legal responsibility is. In other words, point directly at them that these things are happening. Now, I know it's not directly their responsibility, it is the actual drivers, but the point is they've created a situation where the drivers are tempted effectively to break what normally would be the law, and the law normally is 30 miles an hour according to the spacing of the streetlights. I presume the streetlights are on and not switched off for energy conservation. But
no, they're all on.
Oh, that's one plus fact. Well, please, can something be done as a priority, Jeff? Because if only to give the town council assurance, let alone the local councillors, because at present they're slap bang in the firing line, and you're saying basically the consortium is twiddling their thumbs. Okay. I'll now step off my soapbox.
Right, thank you. I think we've got another question from Councillor Atchwell.
Thank you, Chair. A couple of questions for you, Jeff. The first one, I'm not sure whether it's in your remit, but there is a cycle path between the roundabout R1 and the motorway junction. That is seems to be complete, but it's not open. Would you have any idea as to what happened to it, or whether it's in your remit or not?
It's not in my remit. That falls into the offsite works that Hampshire and delivering. I could try having an answer, but I don't think I'd be right. It's not really. It's something that we hear reports about, and I think it's possibly linked to Whiteley going over the M27 and a bridge there, but it isn't one I can answer, I'm afraid. You really need to. I'm not sure. Ray may or may not have a briefing on it, but it's not something I can formally.
Perhaps if Ray is still on in the meeting, he might take it away and maybe he'll have some answer for it. The second point was about the buses. Yes, you're right. The buses are not really running to their capacity. They are not full or 2 or 3 people. But then why don't we ask the operators to run smaller buses? At least it will consume less petrol, I assume. Maybe something you can suggest to the operators, because those buses are about 50 people. You can run small buses for 25 people, and there are available like that. Whether operator will consider that or not, I don't know, but that's something you can propose, I assume.
Well, absolutely. I mean, the size of the bus is entirely down to first, really. So I suppose it depends on the fleet that they have. So, you know, we basically asked them to, you know, we want a bus service from A to B, and we proposed various timetables and so on, and asked them to put in, you know, to put in prices and bids for that. And they have a better understanding of passenger numbers than we do. That's their business, and they also have the benefit of the knowing how it's performed over the last year. So it's entirely up to the bus company as to what size of vehicle they use.
Okay.
So yeah, I'm happy.
Okay,
we'll have conversations. I'm happy to. We'll always ask that sort of question anyway. You know, could you save a? You know, the consortium are always keen to save a £1 or £2, so they could save a £1 or £2 with a smaller bus.
It will save us carbon footprint. And the last one is regarding Avon Road in the North Whiteley, the Whiteley Meadows area. That road seems to be a problem in terms of lighting. It has been going on for last year, perhaps. There are lots of holes being dug to fix the lighting, but I know the road is not yet ready for adoption or not even properly paved, but the electric supply on the lights, the street lights, are in a dire state. I don't know whether you're aware of it, and If you are, perhaps you can suggest somebody to fix that, because the residents living in there are facing a problem.
You'll have to excuse me, but your feed cut out slightly, so I didn't hear the name of the road.
Avon Road, A-V-O-N.
District.
Avon Road. Not entirely sure what that is, actually, but
It's
Jeff, I'm
of
just
the
gonna-
Whiteley Way. It's of the
Jeff,
Whiteley
it's
Way.
Matthew. I'm just going to hand over to Hilary for that one.
Hi,
thank
Jeff.
you.
Yeah, Avon Road, it's in parcel, it's the road that runs between parcel 4 and parcel 5, so it's Vistry's responsibility. We have asked them about what is happening. I know there were issues with some of the groundworks up there, so they have had a bit of a problem with that section of road. So there's an outstanding query with Vistry at the moment.
Yeah,
Okay, all right.
it sort of falls outside my
Yeah.
remit, because Vistry in
okay,
the north
okay.
row their own boat,
Apologies
really.
for my ignorance.
That's okay, that's fine. I'll
Thank
take
you.
the question away to David Possible anyway, so. Yeah,
Thank you.
I think we just had Ray has come back on to answer your question, Councillor Atchell.
Oh, brilliant.
Ray?
Yes, Madam Chairman, thank you. The cycleway, you mentioned going south down to the junction 9 of the M27. That has been closed off because there are more works to be carried out. Earlier this evening, I mentioned that I would send to Matthew an update about the Botley bypass, which I've already done. Within that update, there is reference to those works as well. So if Matthew can attach the note that I've sent to him to the notes of this meeting, you'll get a full update. But basically, there are works still to have their design completed, including a link from Sedgensworth Way, I think it's called, on the other side of the junction 9 down to the Sedgensworth Business Park. And there's also a complication with the parapet structure where it goes over the railway line. That's got to be sorted out with Network Rail. And obviously, as I said, that there is that note, and you'll be able to read all of the information that's currently available.
Thank you, Ray. Thank you.
Just going to go back to Linda. Linda, we don't usually let members of the public ask questions, but I'll allow you to do so in this instance. If you're still there, Linda.
That's very kind. Thank you very much. It's just I could have been wrong in the way I'm interpreted it, but when Jeff was speaking, it was as if he was indicating that the trucks going through from the Tesco end of Whiteley Way down past the Taylor Wimpey office were a problem. They are not the issue. It is cars that are coming from the developed end of Whiteley Way down towards Tesco's that are the biggest issues. There are some coming in and going up towards the new houses, but most of them are now coming past my house towards Tesco's. And that has only happened in the last 3 to 4 weeks. And as I say, I sat there for 3 hours during one day, 3 separate hours. I avoided the rush hour. And there were over 100 cars going past my door through each of those 1 hours. That's a hell of a lot of cars. They are using that road as a rat trap.
Linda. Jeff, I don't know if you can say anything.
Yes, I think that's a very useful piece of information. It tells me a couple of things. One is, well, relatively pleasing, because they mentioned the construction traffic, which is a lot of trucks and so on.
There aren't that many.
Well, it sounds like they're reasonably behaving themselves that way. And the issue is, as you say, cars racing down towards the retail centre or beyond.
Yeah.
North to south. So I think it gives us something to look at and think about because we always have to
is-
start with,
it
is it our people? Is the
it
first
is
consideration? Is it our
horrendous.
people that we can, because we can control our the developers can get hold of van drivers delivering stuff or lorry
No,
drivers.
I didn't include vans. I didn't include trucks. I only included cars. And it is
Yeah.
cars coming from the top end, coming down towards Taylor Wimpey, towards the shopping centre. I only counted cars. So it is being used as a rat run. And it's only in the last 3 or 4 weeks.
Okay, thanks for raising that, Linda.
Okay.
I'm sure Jeff will give you a note. Notice Councillor Evans put his hand back up. Councillor Evans.
Yeah, thanks, Chair. I just thought, we were talking about buses a minute ago. I just thought everybody would like to know, I've seen a report that's come in from Hampshire County Council, the travel people, and they've said that their recent analysis indicates that passenger numbers have doubled between March and September, with Skipper Road and Bluebell Way 2 being the busiest stops. So I think that's something to bear in mind. And when we talk in the new year, Jeff, maybe looking at those other stops, which I think will be particularly stops which are correspond with school times would be useful. So it does appear from Hampshire's analysis, they've obviously been doing some passenger research from the travel programme, that they seem to be on the up and up. And I'm quite happy to share that with everybody. Thanks, Chair.
Thanks, Mike. So, I mean, it's good to have an upward trend, but it is going from extremely low to very low just at the moment. But if it's upward, that's good.
Well, I just had one question. Sorry, I had a question, if you don't mind, Jeff. So it was mentioned about the cars being parked on Glassfield Road. Is it possible that Consortium could write a letter to those residents if it's causing an issue trying to get in and out the road?
Taylor Wimpey already, they wrote to all their residents around that area fairly recently, pointing out that they shouldn't be parking there, and that appears to have had some effect. So I think it's just constant pressure and reminding them, because basically everybody who has bought a house has signed a covenant to the effect that they won't block infrastructure around there. So I would just have to keep reminding, we might have to start leafletting cars or something like that, doing those sorts of activities to try and discourage it, whether we'll ever entirely eliminate it. But we were, I was asking Taylor Wimpey whether the surviving cones that we had down on the end of Whiteley Way, whether we should relocate them up into Woodlands Chase and specific corners and so on, and try that out. Well, I haven't quite had an answer from that yet. So, but usually I will raise things, and I'm going to have to persevere for a while just to make issues.
I just noticed that road is quite particularly bad compared to other roads. So maybe just keep an eye on it, please.
Shall.
Okay, thank you very much. Thanks, Jeff, for your report. Councillor Pearson, is it a new question?
It's
carry on.
In a sense, it is. I was just going to suggest to Jeff there are 3 things that have been tried by other areas, even on an unadopted road. The first one, you could have a series of lights that flash when a motorist goes past, giving the speed that vehicle is going. That's one point. The second point, you could do simply by having a yellow jacket and a clipboard, 2 or 3 people along there taking in turns, and believe you me, that slows the traffic down. And the final one, which tried many, many times in the state, and it works, get 3 old police cars, park them along that road, and everyone will think they're occupied cars and they'll slow down. I'll say no more.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Pearson. I hope you've got those down, Jeff.
Yes, I certainly have. Yeah, I mean, there's only one issue that during the day, people are speeding. They're going past 50 people with yellow jackets on because it's a construction site. But yeah, I know what you mean. I think if you stand on the road and look people in the eye as they drive past, you know, I think we noticed that when we did our visit a few weeks ago. We were down there looking at it together, and we all stood there. And I thought people were slowing down because they saw people walking up and down, looking at them, with yellow jackets and shirts and ties on or whatever. But yeah, people do. There's a precautionary principle, isn't it? People tend to think, well, just in case, I'll slow down, and that's why we're putting things like double yellow lines down. It's most people will observe these things and will recognise that they're in an area where they shouldn't be speeding.
Well, that's right. Well, it's called visible policing. Yeah, it's called visible policing, and it works.
Yeah,
if you can't prosecute because it's an unadopted road, then there are other ways you can do it. Believe in me, all three of things I've suggested have seen to be working. So it's up to you guys.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Jeff, for your report.
You're welcome.
Yeah, thank you. Now we're going to hand over to Hilary Oliver.
Hi, good evening again. I haven't got much to add to Jeff's report. The only thing I would like to mention that some people in the north might have noticed is work has started on erecting the new telecommunication mast. So hopefully those people that had struggled with mobile system signals up there it will improve hopefully in the new year. I also have an update report from my colleagues at Hampshire in the travel plan team, which we will upload onto the website to go with the agenda. But just to pick out a few items from that, they are publishing a newsletter online, and I would encourage everybody to look at that on the Hampshire website. Specifically to do with it's called North Whiteley Travel Matters. Welcome packs were sent to 755 dwellings in North Whiteley, and they continue to be issued on a regular basis. They'll including local maps, newsletter, local bikes, shop flyers as travel incentives. They will shortly be launching their £100 travel incentive for new residents in the North Whiteley development. Rather than providing a voucher to be used at specific stores, they are developing a scheme that allows residents to use their £100 towards something of their choice that supports active and sustainable travel. Terms and conditions apply. So it's worth keeping an eye on that website for that information. They've also been working with Cornerstone Primary School, and they delivered bike skill sessions, balance bikes and bikeability skills. And their school has agreed to update their travel plan. Confirming as well, the secondary school is still targeted for planning for next year, 2024. And then, as Jeff said, with construction started 2025, opening September 27. They've also undertaken some travel surveys, which I haven't got all the details of, but they did come up, surprise, surprise, 95% of residents on North Whiteley own a car. But the full survey results are going to be posted on the website, so I suggest you have a look at that if you want more detail. So that's the update from North Whiteley Travel Plan. The only thing, I have also been asked a couple of questions by members of the public, so I just share with you. There has been this ongoing problem with the waste bins play area 3 in the north. We put an extra bin in, but they're still being filled up at a credible rate. Just to confirm, these are still with Vistry for maintenance. So any issues, you're quite welcome to let me know, or Whiteley Town Council. We're both in communication with Vistry. As soon as we know there's an issue, we get on to them. And the other question I was asked was about Sports Pitch 2. We were hoping that some of the groundworks would be done before Christmas, but as we've experienced an extended period of rain, they couldn't get the machinery on site. So we're looking for the new year for further work happening on the allotment 2 and Sports Pitches 2. Don't think there was anything else that I needed to update, unless anybody's got any questions they'd like to ask.
Not seeing any hands up. Oh, there we go. Yes, Simon Balding, if you don't mind. Question, Simon.
Oh, hi, sorry, it's Mandy Balding. I've just put a message in the chat.
Please provide with contact details of the person responsible for health and safety, Taylor Member, the area, Whiteley Way in Clatonsfield. Thank you.
That would be a question for Jeff. I don't have.
That's for Jeff Davies.
And I think it would be him.
Is Jeff still on the call?
Yeah.
Jeff, did you hear the question?
Yes, I think so.
So we'd like the contact details for the health and safety officer. Whiteley Way in Glassfield Road.
Yes, if I can supply the roads, the consortium roads, basically the main roads, Bluewell Way and Whiteley Way, Curbridge Way, and then when you sort of turn off into the developers' parcels, the developers themselves are responsible for those.
So it's Taylor Wimpy.
That's the way it broadly works.
Yeah, it's more for the public areas around the Whiteley Meadows area down by Taylor Wimpy for pavements, roads, just general health and safety for the whole area, really.
Yeah, so those common roads they're what we call the consortium roads. So ultimately the 4 consortium members are responsible as clients. They employ us as project managers. We have a health and safety company that goes around and does inspections over the entire site every couple of weeks and issues reports with to-do lists and so on. That's broadly how it works. So I mean, if you have specific questions, you'd be best to raise it with me, I expect, in the first place. Sort of take it up.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks, Jeff. Okay, thanks, Helen, for your report. I just had one about the care home. There's plans for a care home, isn't there?
There is plans for the care home. The plan at the moment is that Winchester City Council will be developing that and they are in negotiation with Vistry at the moment in terms of agreeing the actual site area of that and the suitability. So those discussions are underway. The land isn't due to be handed over to Winchester City Council. The end date is when the site for the second primary school is transferred over.
Good.
There is a possibility it could be earlier, but at the moment those negotiations are at quite an early stage for that to be handed over. Yes, the other issue you were talking about was nursery provision on Whiteley. There isn't as such a provision for a nursery. Both of the local centres have the ability, have the use class to have a nursery on those sites.
Okay.
So it will be, at the end of the day, down to whoever develops those sites to decide what uses they can attract to their sites.
Okay.
But there is the ability to have under the planning use class to be on that site.
Okay, that's great. Thank you. Anybody have any further questions? Okay, that's great. Thank you very much, Helen. So we're going to go back now to item number 7. Give me a minute, please. I'm going to hand over to Julie Pinnock, one of our officers, the future of the forum. Julie.
Yeah, good evening, Chair. Good evening, members. I'm Julie Pinnock. I'm Corporate Head of Planning and Regulatory Services at Winchester City Council. And as you know, we operate the forum in accordance with the terms of reference that is established through our cabinet, and it operates across all 3 forums that we have, so that they sort of operate in a common way, albeit that, you know, there are unique issues at each development area. So the terms of forum for the terms of reference for the North Whiteley Forum are that we meet 3 times a year. We talk about strategic matters, but it also talks about we will support the establishment of appropriate local democratic structures for the emerging community. We've been through a governance review here at North Whiteley, and that's been determined that Whiteley Town Council would be the area that sort of is the local body that manages this area. And the terms of reference are quite explicit, that they say that, you know, the forum would be wound down once those governance arrangements are established, Chair. So we had a question at the last forum by Mike Evans, actually, from Whiteley Town Council, about, you know, now those governance arrangements are established, what happens next? And we thought it'd be useful if I just gave you an overview here today. So my view, Chair, very much is that, and I've got it here, now that governance review is complete, you know, it probably is the right time to consider how we hand the reins over to the Town Council for the community to engage at that local level. So I think my view tonight, Chair, is that we put perhaps the forum on notice that that's our intention to do that. There's probably some procedural issues about whether we take that through our cabinet for to finalise that, or whether we adopt the new constitution, which takes effect in January. I'll need some advice from the monitoring officer on that. But certainly the Town Council are set and ready to take over the reins when we're ready to hand it over to them. What we would do as part of that is that we would continue to support. So Hillary's been very much here tonight, hasn't she, as the lead, as our officer, and I would see that role as Hillary supporting the Town Council, much as she does here for us at the forum. And myself and Steve Lincoln, who's the service lead for communities, very much would attend those meetings and participate, you know, as we need to, and that support would continue. So I think, Chair, that is a high level summary. It's very much our intention to hand over the reins to Whiteley Town Council. There's probably some sort of cabinet endorsement or some decision we need to make to progress that. But I know, you know, and members know that I've been talking to Mike Evans, and the Town Council have established sort of what they think would be some operating parameters. So I don't know, Chair, if you wanted to hear from Councillor Mike Evans on that at this time, or if you wanted to say a few words first.
I think if Mike's willing to say something, I don't know.
Councillor Evans?
Thanks, Julie. Thanks, Chair. Yes, we have, as you know, when we were approached with we had a meeting with the leader of Winchester City Council and yourself, Julie, and Hillary and others. We agreed that we would certainly be we believe the right way forward to take this whole thing on. It's all about, we're looking at really, it's really to ensure the delivery and ownership of the infrastructure to fully support and integrate the new and existing Whiteley. And we think this is the right opportunity to do that. We have, as you know, given you a set of terms of reference, which we're, once the Cabinet has hopefully agreed to this to go forward, we will publish. Our intention will be to hold the meetings, as we've said, 3 times a year. And we've already got dates, which would be the 16th of April, the 16th of July and the 10th of December. We intend to hold these in person at the Solent Hotel in Whiteley. We also feel that with a lot going on that we also need to take other steps as well and have informal monthly catch-ups with the consortium and Hillary, the implementation officer. We want to encourage participation from residents. We would like to do something similar to here, have a question and answer at the beginning and also at the end of the session. We want to ensure that all residents and businesses are part of the development. And so the forum that we have put together is a representative of businesses and other people in Whiteley, as well as councillors who we feel would be beneficial to this process. So in a nutshell, we feel we're ready to go.
Thanks, Mike. Chair, I was just going to say, Chair, I'm conscious that, and I know I've spoken to the Chair earlier, that not everyone has seen the proposed governance arrangements, Mike. So I think what would probably be helpful is if we appended those to the minutes of this meeting. So as those, you know, those of us that are here that have got that interest in that can see that. I think it's been published on the Town Council website anyway, hasn't it? So that can be aligned up.
No, it hasn't gone on the website. I mean, it's gone to yourself and obviously to those members who will be on that forum meeting. I'm very happy to do that. There's slightly updated paper, so if I send that to you, Julie, you can maybe arrange for that to go on the minutes.
Thank you, Mike. With your permission, Chair, would that be something you'd be happy to support?
Yes, please. I think all members of this current committee should see what the new terms might be.
Thank you, Chair.
I can say that all members of that committee have had a copy of that of the details, and have all been spoken to.
Okay, so is this set in stone then, who you want on the committee?
Sorry?
Is it set in stone who's going to be on the future committee?
We've agreed that with the council discussions, yes, and it's been passed out, and you will have had a copy as well, obviously, as a town councillor.
Okay. I just had a couple of questions, but maybe that I'd speak to the leader about it later.
Well,
so you mentioned, Mike, that future meetings would be in the Solent Hotel.
Yes.
Who would pay for those meetings?
The town council has come to an agreement with the Solent Hotel. I don't think we need to go into those details, but we are satisfied that it is economically possible, and that has been reflected in our precept for next year.
Okay. Just had a couple of other questions then, because I know I've got the list of people here. It mentions about Hampshire County Council, Councillor Lumbey being on it, but doesn't mention any actually County Council officers. I would have thought maybe a highways officer would be on it.
We have discussed, it says officers as required. And I think we discussed this, Julie, about officers from Winchester as required. It was just, I mean, that obviously can be tweaked a little bit, but as and when we need officers, we will ask them to come along. And I think it's same as Julie and Steve Lincoln, and obviously Ray Alborough. But we know what Ray is very busy, but I've already spoken to Hampshire about that as well.
So just one other point then, Mike. Just mentioning here, sorry, I know the other members won't have seen this, but the Winchester ward councillors is myself and the other councillor Atchwell. I would have thought you'd have the 3 ward councillors on there, not just the 2.
It's a Whiteley forum, and that was a decision that we've taken. I don't want to get into semantics here. If you're unhappy with it, then please let us know. But at the moment, that's what we've agreed.
Okay, maybe Councillor Todd would like to say something.
Well, it's a bit difficult to know quite how to interpret the Constitution, because the Whiteley Forum was set up by Cabinet in 2009, and in the most recent appointments we said that we would leave the question in May. We said, so the most recent review of terms of reference in 2021 was not actually that explicit about the solution, and then in 2023 in May we said that dissolution would be governed by the new constitution. What the new constitution says is that this forum continues until it is considered that adequate and appropriate governance is in place, taking into account the views of local ward councillors in the affected area. And from a constitutional point of view, the 3 ward councillors for the Whiteley and Shedfield ward are Councillor Vivian Atchwell, Councillor Siddhartha Atchwell, and Councillor Anne Small. So there's 3 councillors for the ward. So they would have their views. It's not actually clear as to who does the considering, but since Cabinet established the committee, I'm guessing that Cabinet would decide whether it considered that adequate and appropriate governance is in place. I mean, what I suggest is that if this committee has a view in terms of the dissolution, its dissolution and transfer to the city council, to the town council, and the terms of reference, then it would be useful to hear it. But otherwise, our policies are relatively clear, which would suggest that the decision would come to Cabinet in January, right, as to whether we agreed that adequate and appropriate governance was in place. It may be something the monitoring officer can decide. I'm not entirely sure, but my expectation would be that since Cabinet established and set the terms of reference for this committee, it would probably be Cabinet that would be the one that would decide whether the terms of reference, whether terms for its dissolution had been met.
Tends to make sense to me. Mike, is that okay with you and the other members? Councillor Atchwell's got his hand up.
I'd like to get some clarifications. When somebody says that the governance was met or completed, what were the criteria used to ensure that the governance is met? Is there any document which says that has been done? And can we have a look at it, or at least can you have a view of it?
So there was some. So if you want to get into the details of it, the terms of reference were set by Cabinet. And I think the most recent time that they were reviewed was 2021. And so that has an attempt at outlining the criteria for dissolution. And it does talk about the fact that the governance review has been completed. In May, it says that the exact criteria, the May Cabinet said that exact criteria would be defined by the new constitution. The new constitution is actually fairly broad in terms of what it says, and effectively just says, is there adequate governance in place, and have the ward members been consulted? So those are the 2 things that it talks about, in my understanding, but I'm not the monitoring officer, so that is just my interpretation. But then it was a decision made by Cabinet, so I suppose Aaron's and the paper that was written that said that the decision would be transferred to under the new constitution, that was in my name. So I guess that has some weight. But the clause is in 10.3 of the new constitution that was agreed at last full council. And what it says is area committees and a major development area forum will continue until it is considered that adequate and appropriate governance is in place, taking into account the views of local ward councillors in the affected area.
Thank you, Councillor.
Chairman, if I might just add, in the paper, the constitution paper that was considered by full council, I think it recognised that with North Whiteley and west of Waterloo, we were looking at those arrangements to disband these forums because the governance reviews had taken place and we were ready. We were at that phase 3 of both of those. So I think this is just a marker today, isn't it, to say, you know, as you heard from Mike Evans, the town council are ready to take the reins. We are looking at what, you know, as Councillor Todd said, whether there's adequate and appropriate arrangements for us to pass those over. And I think there's something there around the ward member engagement and involvement, and actually publishing those the proposed governance arrangements by Whiteley Town Council, so all the members here can sort of have a look at that. And as Councillor Todd said, we need to talk to the monitor officer about whether that's a cabinet decision or whether under the constitutional review, when that takes effect in January, you know, giving this notice now qualifies as that. And I've certainly understood that to be the case, but we will check that up. And it's just an opportunity for members here today to sort of know that's our pathway, isn't it, Chair?
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
Any members have any questions on the next steps? No, I think that all sounds fine. Okay, so I think we're at the end of the meeting. I'm just double checking. Sorry, now I've lost my page. So we have item 10, future agenda items. I don't know if there's going to be a future meeting or not.
I think that
Maybe one more meeting.
I think there's one more probably.
There is a scheduled meeting in February. 15th of February, so I think that's going to still be there for now. So I don't know if, apart from the governance review, are there any other items that members could think of might want on that agenda?
Chair, it's Councillor Lee.
Yes.
I was just wondering, as we come to the end of this strategic looking forum, and given obviously the climate crisis and our energy crisis and so on, the developers hold a considerable amount of data, and I'm just wondering if it hasn't been done, is it possible to have that data scraped to understand where we are with EV charging points, PV on roofs? In other words, the climate crisis, decarbonisation opportunities that have been taken so far, so that when the district council starts to develop a local area energy plan, you know, we'll have this low-hanging fruit, because obviously it's a new development, so it's easy to get at, and use that to inform future thinking, to future-proof North Whiteley and help the district as well. I think there'd be a great legacy aspect to that. And of course, it will also, if we understand the baseline of energy use, demand and supply, that will also signpost where opportunities are for community energy projects in the future. So I just wondered whether that's something worth tagging into the next agenda as we close off the forum.
I think that sounds sensible to me, to be honest. Julie, maybe.
Yeah, Chair, I suppose I'd just like to say, Chair, you know, as far as we are as a local planning authority, in terms of what the developer is obliged to do in terms of those planning conditions that outline our planning permission, the Section 106 legal agreement, and then subsequent reserve matters, we have all that data already. So I don't, you know, I do understand what Councillor Lee is saying about that legacy and that baseline, but we hold that data anyway. It's a statutory requirement for the developer to fulfil that obligation to us in terms of any planning permissions, discharge of conditions. So and everything that we have at this meeting is published on our website, so we harvest that as well. So I don't think there's anything missing, I suppose, is what I'm saying. But if there is, you know, we can certainly talk to the consortium about that. I don't think that, you know, we will continue to work with them as LPA, even if the governance arrangements are sort of handled more locally.
No, Julie, I fully understand that. I suppose what actually I'm asking for is for this to be presented in a way that would help the future Whiteley Town Forum and any community energy groups out there. In other words, presented in a way without having to pull it hard and tie up planning staff time. I just think it would go down extremely well, and it could be in the public domain in a joined up, meshed up way, if you see what I mean.
I think we have it, so it's, you know, I'm not sure where else we would get it from, so we would have to harvest that information and put it to you in a way that was, you know, gave you a public face to it. But we'd need to understand the purpose of that, really. You know, if the developer's fulfilling their planning obligations, and I think, you know, that we can't really ask more than that. But I know what you're saying. You're wanting a baseline so as you can look forward. Yeah. But we have that information.
Okay, I just thought it was a good idea, given we're going to have a local area energy plan at some stage. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Chair.
Okay, thank you very much, everyone, and just like to wish you all a happy new year and Merry Christmas. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Chair.
Cheers. Bye bye.
Thank you, Chair. Good evening.